President-elect Trump has made it very clear that he intends to go back to a maximum pressure policy on Iran. That means tightening U.S. sanctions on Tehran, upping enforcement to make sure that we not only have sanctions on the books, but they're being observed. I think one of the consequences of that is going to be greater economic pressure on Iran. We saw that during the first Trump administration. What's not obvious is whether or not that's going to lead to better Iranian behavior. And the question becomes for a Trump administration, what happens if you go to maximum pressure and things on the ground don't change? What's hanging over all of this is the vows of the supreme leader to retaliate against Israel. Does Iran retaliate against Israel? What does it look like? Does it happen on Joe Biden's watch, or does it happen on Donald Trump's watch? Wild card in all of this is the court case in the United States that has accused Iran of hiring hitmen to kill Donald Trump. I'm sure that will factor into the thinking in a Trump White House. Well, things are always possible. The reality is that the Ayatollah and his government has shown no interest in having a nuclear deal, at least on the terms that would be acceptable to the United States. So could we be surprised? Donald Trump can be very unpredictable. Perhaps there's an offer he can make to Tehran that Tehran will find interesting, but I wouldn't put it on my most likely list of possibilities. Well, I think the bigger issue is that Iranian proxies across the Middle East have been heavily damaged and weakened by the acts of the government of Israel. I think the big issue is how fast can those militias, so-called axis of resistance, be reconstituted, and will they be willing to act at the direction of Tehran? I think we don't have very good insight into what the mullahs in Tehran are thinking and how they're assessing their potential benefits versus their potential costs. What we do know is it's a very dangerous situation, and conflict, regrettably, is one real possibility. Well, Donald Trump has signaled that he would like Israel to wrap up its war in Gaza by Inauguration Day. But we haven't seen any evidence that that is what Prime Minister Netanyahu is seeking to do. In fact, he has intensified his military campaign in southern Lebanon. Looking at sort of the Israeli approach to what has happened in Gaza and in southern Lebanon and the composition of Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet, it's hard to imagine that they're going to agree to the sort of ceasefire I think that many Palestinians and many people in the Arab world are hoping for. Well, I don't know that if you can eliminate those proxies. Clearly, the Israelis have weakened them. I don't think that the Trump administration is going to come in and use American combat personnel to go after those militias. Clearly, what they'll do is provide intelligence support and material weapons support for the Israelis. But Donald Trump is not eager to involve the United States in new conflicts. Indeed, one of his great accomplishments that he likes to trumpet is that no new wars began when he was president. So I don't think Donald Trump comes in thinking the first thing he wants to do is to commit U.S. military troops anywhere, whether we're talking about in Europe or in the Middle East or in Asia.